Good morning. In this video, we will be discussing how to fill out your program academic assessment report. Last spring, we initiated this report for a 3-year process 2018 through 2020. I will be showing you an example from the registered nursing program that has been filled out to date to explain how this process can be conducted. On page 1, where you filled out the name of the program and the division, you also included a program mission statement, if one exists, and a list of your program learning outcomes. This page will be the same each time you fill out this document, with one exception. That exception is that you will only put asterisks next to the outcomes that you will be assessing for that 3-year cycle. In this case, the nursing program has selected outcomes 1 and 2. During year 1, in May of 2018, this was completed by Sue Anderson and her RN faculty. This then set up a plan. That plan was that they would look at a cohort average on their Kaplan Predictor exam for questions related to basic care and comfort. That is how they plan to assess program outcome number 1, integrate caring behaviors. They then set up the methods that they would utilize. The activity is listed here, when this would be conducted, the tool that would be utilized, and who would be responsible. That is all that needs to be done for the first year of the process. Now we are into phase 2. So 2019. They have left their document the same all the way through. She has now filled out that on January 15th of 2019, these individuals were engaged in step 2. Excuse me. Step 2 consisted of the boxes down here that say January, February 2019. What are the results? In this box, you will put the specific data that was collected. For this case, the nursing program chose to utilize a 3-year data trend to provide them information. As you will notice, they are trending upward and that they have met their benchmark of 60% for May and December. That is the information that led to their crucial conversations. As a group, they discussed that information. As we said, the trend is slowly upward. They talked about their strengths related to how this data was collected. What are the strengths that this data tells them? They then talked about opportunities based upon what this data shares. And then they looked at external factors that impacted their results. Following those conversations, they then filled out the final box, excuse me, that notice you will see what are they going to do. So the first box was the data. The second box is what does this data tell us? And now we are in the box of so what? So what are you going to do with this information? Their recommendation is to maintain their benchmark where it is, because if you will remember, they were in the low to mid 60s. So they felt that was an appropriate benchmark. What they would like to do now is revise a tool so that they can better capture data related to integrating the caring behaviors. And what they will do in their teaching is they will, in part of their new curriculum they are building, they will look for some formative evaluation assignments they can incorporate, all leading up to this formal assessment of their program learning outcome on their Kaplan Secure Predictor. So let's walk through this for number 2. Here is program learning outcome number 2. Implement professional standards and scope of practice within legal, ethical, and regulatory frameworks. Last year, in 2018, they determined that they wanted a cohort average on that same Kaplan exam of 60%, but they were going to look at questions that are tagged being safe and effective care environment assessments. So it's a different set of questions on the same exam. They set up their plan, which looked very similar to the other one because they are using a similar exam. So this was done last spring. Here is their data, and as you will notice, it is different that they have consistently met or exceeded their benchmark. And they are not exceeding it by simply 1 or 2%, they're exceeding it at a higher rate. So that data led them to have the crucial conversation discussions that we are consistently exceeding our benchmark. We have some rationale for why we think that is. Here are some of the opportunities that information tells us. And we have some external factors that are kind of playing into that. So now they understand what that data means to them. As a result, their box of so what? So what are we going to do? They have made the decision that because they are consistently exceeding that number of 60%, they would like to adjust that benchmark to 65. So they will continue to monitor the same information, but they have set a higher threshold at which they would like to achieve. And again, they have gone on to tell you if there are other measurement tools they would like to modify or opportunities to enhance within their teaching. You will notice that in both of those sections, we still have one remaining box that is indicated as 2020 for closing the loop. That will be done next spring, when they will reassess what they have made changes on to see if it was an effective change. So let's just review, please excuse the scrolling. For the 2018-19 document, you will leave everything on page 1 the same. On page 2, you will fill in the chart labeled 2019. And you should have already indicated if you were doing, most individuals are using calendar year. You then will go down to where you have implemented each learning evaluation. And you will fill in the second box, which has 3 components, labeled January, February 2019. You will do that for each of the indicators that you have placed an asterisk beside on page 1. That concludes what you will need to do for your 2018-19 program assessment report.